So I'm very pleased to be able to introduce David Zink Yi. He's here from Berlin and he is, starting now, our fall 2014 Audain Distinguished Artist-in-Residence. I've worked with David before. His work was in The Voyage, or 3 Years at Sea, Part 3 in 2012. And I'm very pleased that we'll get a chance to work with him again in the spring in a solo exhibition at the Charles Scott Gallery. So I'm not doing your little joke, Kathy. David has recently participated in the 8th Berlin Biennial, the 55th Venice Biennale in the Latin American Pavilion, and the 10th Biennial of Havana. His work is currently at Prospect, New Orleans. He has had solo exhibitions at Hauser&Wirth in Zurich and Kunstverein Braunschweig in Germany. He has also taken part in group exhibitions at the Tate Modern in London, Museo Sala de Arte in Mexico, Ludwig Forum for International Art, Kunst, Aachen, Germany, and the National Museum of Art, Architecture and Design in Oslo, Norway. His work is included in collections at the Museum of Contemporary Art, Los Angeles, MUDAM, Luxemburg, and Museum Ludwig, Cologne. Please welcome David Zink Yi.
Hello. Maybe you want to come closer? Yeah, that would be better. So actually it's very good because I'm very bad with this digital presentation, so maybe someone can come up and help me if I don't find a tool. I thought I normally would do a chronological presentation from the beginning and till now, but I thought now to concentrate on a couple of pieces that I did recently, or actually just to show some pieces that are related to my production and pieces related to music production. I came in the early 2000s to Cuba for the first time. I'm originally from Peru, and I began to cooperate with musicians there and to develop a couple of different, mostly video pieces. So to begin, I maybe would like to show a show from last year. It's a piece that I developed for the Kunstverein in Braunschweig, and the space is an old villa with 2 floors, and I was very much inspired by some text that I read long time ago from Michel de Certeau. He was writing, he has an essay that it's something called like the art of the daily things or something like that. And he's investigating about the practice of the daily things. And there is one chapter that it's related to walking through the city. I think that's the right also name of the chapter. And where he describes how individual can just in the way he's walking through the city and in the way he's crossing this urban structure of the city, he can even become subversive or find his own individual expression on this raster and even change it. And at that time I was working with, as I told you, I began to work with these musicians in Cuba, and there were some peculiar characteristics about the way they experience music that kind of inspired me to think about this piece. I mean, what I did was I just put 11 members band in different spaces, so you will be able to walk through the villa, and in each space you will be alone with one musician, with one performer, and more or less it will sound like that. So during the opening they were performing live, so you will be able to walk through the house and stay like in a kind of intimate way with each of these performers. And after that I will install the films that I was recording during the rehearsals several days before, just the image you saw before. And of course in the way you would walk through the house and the spots you will decide to stay, you will be able to combine different instruments with each other. I mean, depending of course how they were distributed in the house.
Ningún sitio es tan distante como aquel donde...
Niño, Michelle, si lo haces tú con el piano en los bajos también suena de carajo eso.
Vale, ¿qué hago?
No, bajo, Michelle, bajo. Eso es, eso. One, two,
Sube un poquito de referencia de piano también.
Oye, ¿pudiéramos hacer eso nosotros los coros también? Alala, alala, alala. Los coros. Alala, alala, la, 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 la. Eso es. La, 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 la. La, 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 la.
So, what it was maybe interesting for me, it was that just after I did the show in Braunschweig, the gallery in Zurich was insisting to move that piece to Zurich, and it was, of course, a completely different space and architectonic context. So it took me actually really an effort to find a proper way to show this piece, because completely opposite to Braunschweig, the space in Zurich was a big open space and not like these cabins where you could be like very walking through this each functional thing of the band. So but yeah, at the end I decided to throw the projections on the floor just like carpets, and because of the way, of course, you look to the floor, you will immediately isolate the other images, and in the way the sound, the loudspeakers are shouting to you, you will mostly be concentrated on that how do you say, protagonist. And since it was a piece that it began to be a piece about architecture for me, at the end, actually, it was a very good situation. This is a little walk through the gallery. And I was talking with Kate about it today. I mean, the biggest effort there was really to get a proper acoustic situation, because these spaces normally are extremely hard, and the sound, it's reflecting everywhere, and it's actually impossible to have a normal dialogue in this space if you don't have like something in the space. So we had to fill the space with this empty canvas.
Ese gran sentimiento, el que yo aprendí en su vientre, el que ahora llevo dentro, el que yo aprendí en su vientre, el que ahora llevo dentro, hijo de mis ancestros, que llevo dentro y vive en mí, y los recuerdos de mi madre, lindos recuerdos de mi madre.
So that was that piece. So if you have questions during I'm talking, you can just do it now and not later when everybody wants to go out. So, yes. Oh, it works very good because once you have an image, you try to deal with that as an image. And to be honest, no one was walking, even though it's only light, no one will just walk through it because you definitely want to find the right spot and that was more or less what it was about. I mean, the images are, I mean, these musicians are restructuring the space, and it's kind of like a sculpture will work. It's like there is this subject-object situation where you just try to focus on it and the relation between the spectator and the art piece. It's a kind of making relations of what's going on. So the people would just immediately try to find, or some of them were searching for instruments they will like more or would like to see more, so they will walk and stay in the right position. And I have to say that at the end I really didn't know which presentation was more, I mean, it was working better for me for the piece itself. Yeah. Mm.
So I was thinking as you were describing how people are avoiding interfering with projection, there's sort of there's no what you would call pedestrian speech act there.
Mm-hmm.
So which led me to think what interests me is you've taken it's not that you took this idea, but the idea of the practice of everyday life. The focus means something very specific for him. In your work, it's almost like you're kind of bracketing what he was talking about with practice. I mean, this is practice, you're filming them in practice.
Yeah.
And in the end, you have the situation which is in the gallery as an object. It's kind of, on some level, kind of reified or something. I'm sort of interested in that. It's kind of like, it seems like two bookends. Maybe I'll get to know more about your work when you show more. Are you interested in that? Like the idea of a kind of a gesture of rebellion that Desserteau would be interested in or something?
Well, I mean, the idea of small changes in the daily practice, for me, of course, I am referring to Desserteau just as a point of I am not doing one-to-one like illustration of but when I began to talk about this this idea of walking through this urban landscape, of course there is this moment for the public walking through the different presentations of the piece and you deciding how to walk through it and how to combine the sounds. But it's referred also about the musicians. I mean, these musicians have a very particular, perhaps all musicians have to do it, but they have to go these ways. I mean, they have to repeat these patterns for hours. I mean, the bass player it's doing this groove, and many bass players would do a similar groove, but he does it in a very particular way, and because he's changing maybe only one moment and just displacing it to the not to the round time, but just to sync up time. And doing that, the drummer will react to him and will say, okay, if you do that with the bass, I will put the snare in a completely different moment. And this polyrhythmic construction of this Cuban understanding of music will begin to work like like a clock. You know, everybody wants to find his own expression in the empty moments of the others, and maybe that's also a strong moment for me, where they, with very simple and very rudimentary changing of patterns and structures, begin to generate a completely different image. That's maybe also like more or less what I was referring to, and yeah, but I don't know if that's.
The spaces that you show are very daunting spaces. In different ways. You try to, you're kind of loosening up those spaces too.
Yeah.
Maybe like a musician.
Yeah. Well, I thought actually to refer today only to my pieces referred to music. Maybe later, if you like, I can show something else. But of course, they are completely, extremely different interests on that. So this is a 16mm loop. That it's a very short shot that I did with Julieski. Is actually the trumpet player, one of the trumpet players, which is also participating in the last piece I show it to you. And this is a projection I will show, like very small, almost natural size. Yeah. I mean, and maybe I can talk a little bit about this piece, but no, maybe I don't. So this is a piece I did in 2006, and it was compilations of filming that I realized after several years being working with these musicians. Indeed, actually, we ground a band, and the pieces that we are always listening, also in the piece I show it to you, are our own compositions. Normally, I will write the lyrics, and they will do the arrangement for the pieces. And in 2005 or 6, I decided to go for a couple of months there again and just film really inflationary everything I could about them. There was a time I began to join them not only to our rehearsals, but after that they will begin to go to other rehearsals to play with other bands, of course, and some of them will also perform in Afro-Cuban rituals. So there was a strange moment for me where I was completely, of course, like very trapped in their musical production and the whole effect where this music it's being produced, and but also I think the effect that this particular popular music touch in the people that are dancing and listening to that music. But this whole experience was repeated also in these religious moments, where they will also become part of these Afro-Cuban rituals, and in a particular way they would like take exactly the same role like in this profound context. So I began to film in the rituals, and during we were having the rehearsals of the band, and at the end it took me almost a year to edit this piece. I put a kind of collage between the filmings of the rituals and the filmings of the band during the rehearsal. And the piece, it's called Horror Vacui, exactly because of this reason we were just talking about, that each of them try to fill the empty moments of the Audas. And with the Cuban, it's a particular big necessity to do it, so that really at the end it becomes a completely avoiding emptiness thing. And the piece is 2.5 hours. Of course, I won't show you 2.5 hours, but
¿Qué? Sí, sí, ok.
Fume, difunto el fume, la buena noche. Fume, difunto el fume, la buena noche. Fume, difunto como salam aleikum. Fume, pasa un año en donde fume. Fume, difunto el fume, la buena noche. Fume, difunto el fume, va saludando. Fume, va saludando, difunto el fume. Fume, salam aleikum, aleikum salam.
Fume, difunto el
actually 3 rituals that are kind of defining the piece. I mean, how it's constructed. But in the sense, it's like it's a 2-channel video installation. Normally, I would also have a very specific construction for it. It's a diamond constructed piece with where the projections will be just opposite. I mean, on the corner to each other, and this is maybe just to show you the second type of ritual. Yeah, maybe they are a little bit too long shots for now, but and so on. The piece is really like jumping all the time between the band, rehearsing in different spots, and these 3 different rituals that, I mean, this is the third one, which is a widow. It's a more Yoruba, Nigerian-based ritual. The second one with this strange 2-mouth drums, it's also a Nigerian, Yoruba based ritual. And the first one that we actually only saw the beginning of it, it's a Congo ritual that it's more also influenced from the Haitian people who came to Cuba from the east. And during that, the pieces that the band is also rehearsing, it's switching between the rituals. So maybe now I really show you some of the beginning of my video pieces. I actually began trying to do performance, but in a way I always thought that it would be too embarrassing for me to do performance, and I decided to work with a camera, which gave me a lot of control about what it will be the end product. And in the beginning I was working by myself with these performative pieces, some of them also very related also to music, like I will show it to you, and maybe that's how it developed to the pieces that I have been just showing to you.
Vamos a bailar la cumbia Santo Domingo.
Well, I think this is my third video I did during my studies in 1999. And the very first one,
arroz con habichuela y carne guisa y no hago más nada. Después me voy a la vaca a dormir una siestita y a veces duermo 2 horas y a veces más y no hago más nada.
Well, I keep doing that 20 minutes. I don't think we need to see that the whole length. It's more or less what it happens. And no, I did a wood carving school before I began to study art. That was mandatory at that time. To study sculpture, you will need a technical school in a handcraft work or a long practica with some material based work. Yeah. Well, I tried to do sculptures in the beginning, but I came nowhere. And then I began to do these kind of performative pieces. And I was very much into these questions about identity. And I realized these kind of deconstructive thoughts about what am I and where is the place of my own being in my body and in relation to what I learned, not what I not learned. I mean, the video was a media that it allowed me immediately to develop some pieces. I came actually to the sculptures later, much later, a couple of years later. Definitely not with wood, but with ceramics. But maybe just, going out of this musical context, I can show you one of these pieces that are very significant for me also. Doesn't look like that, but it was very hard to do. I was really trying seriously to understand, to feel if my intention was first in the phonetic or in my hand, and it was, I tried a couple of times because it sometimes took me completely out of what it was going on, and I don't know. I have shown almost an hour. I can keep going if you like, or.
I would be interested in hearing how to make the video work, and then there's more stuff like the
Yeah.
and how those two.
Well, there is an issue about sculptures, and I think maybe it's in the nature of it, like maybe it will be in paintings. If I will paint, I haven't done that right now, but I think there is a non-linear way of talking about it. It's maybe there is a lot of possible interpretations, or not interpretations, but a lot of of relations and ideas and thoughts about how a sculptural piece will work, and for me it's kind of difficult to begin to talk about it not like a video which is linear and you can always begin in the beginning and keep referring to it. At least you have this timeline that helps you to go through it. So to talk about the sculptures referring to these video pieces, I would say that I never see it like that in the beginning. I'm definitely not a conceptual artist. I think I work a lot with more with intuition, and I am sometimes trapped or fascinated about something. It can also be a concept, of course, but it's more like a fascination about things. They stay in my mind, and the idea, for example, or this fascination about these musicians, it has also a lot to do with this extreme long training of, or also the way they handmade their music, and this handcraft work was like very important to me, like the way things are being done, and perhaps that's how I began to work with ceramics. And of course, I had this specific motive with this octopus. This first one, I remember just buying it in the market and chop it in their 9 parts, and then I just let it fall down on my table and did some silicone forms out of it. And I will always travel to Peru or to Cuba to realize these video pieces, and then I would come back and sit in my studio and do one more and one more and one more. So at the end, I did the 9 tentacles of this animal, and actually you can see how between these two how different they became, because of course I was getting better with the technique that I was realizing them, and the pieces are more or less like the size of a human body, and they are they are meant to be shown together, at least this piece. So like that, I have only one image. Okay. The other ones are on the corner, and so I guess this time-based trying to work with this demanding material and trying to work on the technique, it also kind of fascinated me, and it became like an important work also for me. Later, more than representing something like hyper-naturalistic or something like that. It was, of course, ceramics as a material, it's an endless source. You don't only have to, later with the, let me see, later with these pieces, it's an incredible source of shapes and materiality and colors, and so I am kind of slow, so I had more ideas with it, but of course you need the kiln and the place, and so I will work 2 years in a movie and then go back to do some ceramics, and then maybe this piece take me to another idea, but first I have to finish, I don't know, a new publication that it take me also a year, and then I have to do a video, and then I come back after 3 years and keep working on that, and yeah. Yeah, and definitely this like the video I was showing to you, Horror Vacui, these channel videos installation. I mean, there is no person that would have been able to edit it. I mean, that was so much information, musical information, and because the gallery was telling me, can't you just, you know, engage a cutter and just do it a little bit faster? And of course, these pieces are definitely not pieces I can just produce or give someone just to produce for me. So I'm very involved in all this process, and of course are like very demanding, time-demanding pieces. So yeah, if you want to work with ceramics, you cannot be filming somewhere else, and the opposite also. So yeah. There is something I really believe in it. I think there is nothing more fascinating than real things. I mean, for me, there is a moment when these guys are practicing, and also when I see an octopus, for example, where reality and the concrete idea of things become abstract. And there is a ambivalent situation between what you think that you know about the things and the space that they are generating. Of course, in this time-based and very strong musical structure that these guys are producing, it's maybe I mean, of course, music and film works in a completely different way than a sculpture. It's very easy to cry, for example, listening music, but I think it's very hard to cry seeing a painting or a sculpture. But I lost the line. But I forgot what I was going to tell. I will try to come back. Sorry, I'm jet lagged.
The trees that are almost midway between the two, right? Because they're sculptural, but then they're photographs and materiality all coming together, right? There's that scroll.
Down, up. Do you mean the palm trees? No, they are, let me see, I think I have better sculptures. They are sculptures. This is a show I had in St. Gallen in the Kunsthalle in 2009, and after being in 2005 in Los Angeles, I wanted to, I don't have it here. Oh, there. Yeah, these are very, I mean, reduced in size. Palm trees are Washingtonias robustas, and what I did was a group of them in a very naturalistic way out of casted aluminum, and I reduced them 10 times. Let me search another material, which was also a very long-term production. I mean, I had really, let me check. I mean, the idea began there. It was like this moment in California where you have this urban landscape flat, like it is there, which we actually have in Lima also. And then on a second layer, you have these extremely strange crowns of the palm trees defining and structuring the city, but in a completely different way. And I was thinking about this idea of sculptures defining the space and the relation, your relation to space. And I kind of imagine these pieces in a more human scale, in an empty space. Yeah, it's like I was saying, I cannot describe you much more about it, but it began like that, and then I produced this group of 11 palm trees for this Kunsthalle in Switzerland. The piece that I have in New Orleans, it's Horror Vacui, this double channel video installation with, actually I'm very happy about it because as I was telling you, it's very hard to get the space properly done. And also, I think it's a completely different situation to show a piece like that in New Orleans and in such a strong musical traditional society than to showing it in Germany, where, I mean, I think it's a completely different musical tradition. They're coming more from the classic and that. Yeah, I was looking for a image, but yeah, I don't think I have a. Well, it's very hard to make a good photo documentation from the piece because you have actually only 2 screens and the space is extremely dark, so you only see the 2 images and yeah. Yeah, so I think, thank you. I mean, if someone wants to ask something. Yeah. 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 Well, I just realized it's much easier the other way around. I mean, talking from the beginning and going up. I have to say, maybe it was I mean, not a mistake, but I feel not so comfortable that normally when I begin in the early pieces and then I go up. There was a point where I realized these specific experiences maybe or ideas that I was trying to deal with the video pieces were not enough. And that's actually it has to do a lot with what I began to read. I mean, of course, all of us silently begin to read Foucault and all these post-structuralistic authors, and then, yeah, asking yourself the first time, what is an author, and what am I? And so with these thoughts, I actually began to turn the camera and just trying to work with images that were not produced only by myself. I mean, being the only subject of what's going on. And then I realized all this process that I have been coming through, maybe because I moved very young from Peru to Germany, and I began to reflect about all these identity things. I realized that all of us are dealing with these things. I mean, you can be really like, it doesn't have to be so much with a geographical changing. Sometimes it's just about time or relations, and so that's how I began to work with other issues and with other people, and collaborating also with these musicians, and concentrating on their process as a strong image for what I wanted to talk about. But then, yeah, of course, I mean, then you begin to show, I mean, if you're lucky, I was very lucky, actually. I began to work with very good galleries in the beginning, and then of course, you begin to travel, you begin to do this, you begin to do that, and you have to also, in your career, you have to talk about things you were not prepared to talk about, or like what is a production, or how much does it cost to make a video, and during the time you are studying, you don't care about that. You just try to solve that problems. So I think it's a process you have to work with, and we all the time. I mean, I think our work is to change all the time. I mean, we have to search for new things. We have to change. We have to try to have new views of things, and try to stay on this uncomfortable viewing of things. And so I don't know if I am answering your question, but it's yeah. I mean it's the first piece I showed to you. It was a extremely expensive piece. For example, I mean, it took me half a year to. After that, I think I can do a jazz festival. I mean, it's like, yeah, you begin to be. I mean, you have to organize so many things, and you are much more involved in organizing it and getting the money for it, and raising money and funding people who are able to pay the musicians, and hotels and audio and acoustic. I mean, you can't imagine how much technical things we needed to record in a good quality, of course, and then give them the reference of what they were playing, and at the end you don't want to have all of that in the piece. I mean, you want to have a minimal art piece, and so this piece definitely I wouldn't have been to do it when I was studying and doing this first performative pieces, you know. But that's how it began. I mean, I don't know. I think you have a goal, and then you try to come to it. And I haven't done a movie. I mean, I am always a little bit afraid of having to deal with all this organization and this whole team and this whole situation, you know. But I think if one day I have a good idea for that, I will go through it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yes. I mean, I definitely wouldn't be able to come. I mean, I did a couple of residencies before, and it's very hard for me to develop something there because, as I was saying, I'm very slow. I mean, normally I will come for half a year and just take some ideas that it will come out after a couple of years. But right now I am planning to collaborate with an artist in New York. She's writing a lot, and she's kind of very close to a community of, or like to a group of artists that are very close to writing as a way of artistic expression, and I am trying to convince her to do a collaboration with me and maybe to work on a art publication and on a performative piece that I will like to develop. Also during my time here, I really would like to write a script for a horror movie I want to do in Cuba. And I mean, more than a horror movie, maybe just a dark movie filmed during the night. And so I have been postponing that, and I think that's more or less what I will try to focus on while I'm here, just to read more and write more and have a studio situation, not traveling too much around and concentrating on these things. Yeah, but we are also doing a show, and I think I will try to work on prints on photographic pieces that I haven't been able to develop right now. It's like sometimes I'm also, I mean, I haven't shown photos, but I'm also working on photography, but then they stay, you know, in the boxes, and so I want to try to work on that for the show and to bring a consistent show with different pieces. So, and that's quite a lot already. Hopefully 2 of them are at least coming out. Yeah. All right, thank you.